Upfront Books presents Weather Flying, written by Robert N. Buck and Robert O. Buck, and narrated by T.J. Johnson. Copyright by Robert O. Buck. This audiobook is published by arrangement with McGraw-Hill LLC and was produced in the year 2020 by Upfront Books, which holds the copyright thereto. With your purchase of this audiobook, you have received a PDF that includes photographs chosen by the author, as well as a list of suggested resources for further reading and a glossary for terms and acronyms. This PDF can be enjoyed at your leisure. It does not have to be referenced during your listening experience, unless you'd like to. Feel free to pause the audiobook now and visit upfrontbooks.com/weather-flying to download the PDF. Dedication for Leighton Collins. Preface to the 5th edition. Crew change. In the late spring of 2010, my youngest son and I flew our single-engine Cessna 170 from Vermont to the West Coast and back. The trip a father and son adventure with a nostalgic twist. We retraced a good portion of my father's 1930 record flight from New Jersey to California. His adventure flown in an open-cockpit Pitcairn biplane when he was just 16 years old. That daunting trip was my father's first experience in blending aviation's utility with weather, arguably sowing the seeds that blossomed into this book called Weather Flying. Our trip also traversed routes he had flown in TWA DC-2s and DC-3s starting in 1937. We thought it interesting that our little airplane wasn't that much slower than those Douglas transports and flew at the same altitudes. They battled ice, fog, turbulence, and harrowing thunderstorms, sometimes flying right through them, but obviously found good weather too. We didn't feel that historically compulsive, so took the good weather route. Our trip also brought fond memories of years I'd spent flying with my father, both hanging out together as well as cutting a wide swath through aviation's field of dreams. He didn't smother you with aviation. Instead, more along the lines of, "I'm going flying, and if you want to come along, I'm leaving in an hour." I was ready the moment he said it. If you flew enough with the guy who wrote Weather Flying, you soon learned this weather and flying relationship was a big deal. His enthusiasm for the fascinating riddle of weather was infectious, and one quickly learned that heeding it not only made flying work better, it also kept pilot and airplane safe to fly another day. Those years were the show-and-tell, lab-class version of weather flying. When this book made its debut in 1970, a lot had changed since those DC-3 days. It was the year my father checked out on TWA's shiny new gentle giant, the 747. At the same time, I was working on a formal education that posed competitive quandary towards an obsession to flying, which included earning pilot ratings and building flight time. In 4 years, my father would retire, and I was headed out into my own career. Eventually, it would fortuitously find a forward window seat in an airliner, but not without holding fast to my general aviation roots. My career began about where my father's ended, flying good old round-dialed analog airplanes, straightforward autopilots, and fair amounts of close in-hand flying, along with crafty pilots who skillfully mentored the tricks of trade. And then it began to change forever. Our era was straddling the transition to today's world of electronic flight instruments, programmed everything, and advanced automation. Some went kicking and screaming, but more importantly, when new technology caused a quandary with an airplane or pilot, old-school flying sense provided the tools to think simply and use hand-flying basics, keeping us upright and aimed in proper direction, then fix it when all calmed down. It was nothing special. Instead, just logical flow from what everyone was used to doing. This matching of eras was fortuitous when old flying dogs had to learn new tricks. It's now been a generation since this technology has come along, and today we find both airlines and general aviation vying for the fanciest and newest technology of aircraft equipment, and with that, arguably, a developing overdependence on the technology. We see a gap developing between old-school thinking that brings airplanes home versus detached thinking or lack of flying basics that doesn't. Not all the new dogs are learning old tricks. Whether they're misunderstood, not being taught, ignored, or even more sobering, becoming lost art.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?